Hello and welcome to Quick Bites, where we talk about firefighter nutrition in 10 minutes or less. And today's topic is Supplements 101. I'm Megan Loutz, a registered dietitian that specializes in first responders. Now, this lecture can quickly get away from me. The supplements lecture tends to be the most popular section of most of my talks. And really, the thing is that no supplement is going to replace hard work and good nutrition, except for hard work and good nutrition kind of is lame and not super marketable because it requires effort for the long term. And it often doesn't lead to quick successes. So really, when we're talking about supplements, like the FDA approval is there. It is regulated by both the FTC and the FDA, that supplement industry. However, there is limited assurance for safety, purity, and effectiveness. So what we need to look at supplements as in our overall diet is that the base is primarily going to be the bulk of your diet, the hydration, getting enough sleep, eating healthy in general. The icing is typically the timing, fueling, hydration for higher intensity trainings, drills, and workouts. And then those sprinkles are going to be the cupcake, or sprinkles going to be the supplements, right? But usually what happens is people just skip right to the sprinkles because the marketing is so strong and it's really easy to just end up trying to throw money at something when the reality is you just need to be giving it time and consistency. So as mentioned, the supplement industry is regulated. It's very likely that the products will be safe if taken in the correct dosages. However, if you want additional assurance, the recommendation is to go with third-party tested products, Informed Choice, NFF International, BSCG, USP, are just a few third parties where a supplement company will send a sample of the product, and the third party will test the product to ensure that the ingredients are in the correct quantities and the correct ingredients, right? So look for these little seals on the bottom of your products. Check to see if your products are third party tested just to get that extra safety assurance. However, keep in mind, this doesn't mean that product is going to work for what you want it to do, right? Just because a fat burner is third party tested doesn't mean that it is actually going to burn any fat. So when it comes to supplements, you want to be getting recommendations from either a dietitian or a physician, not the jack guy on TikTok, not the fit guy at your station. We actually want to get this from qualified professionals because we are going to consider your medical background, the medications you're on, the type of shift you're on. We're going to consider a lot of things other than just your one goal that you're telling me in 5 minutes of talking, right? So that way we can make sure there's no interactions and we can limit side effects as much as possible and make sure that you're actually saving your money, right? Because everybody says healthy eating is super expensive, but if you're spending most of that money or your budget on supplements, you might not be getting the bang for your buck, right? Now you can do your research. Examine.com is a great resource that is really well written and evidence-based without any affiliations. And then ops.org is a DoD funded resource online, and there is a supplement checker. So my suggestion is to check your supplements there. Now, of course, we're going to talk about some different types of supplements today. Very briefly, this is not any personalized recommendation. You need to work with a dietitian or a physician one-on-one. However, we can discuss, whether it's something to consider or start a conversation with, right? And one of the most popular supplements that I see a lot of first responders interested in is creatine monohydrate. And there is a ton of research and consistent long-term research on creatine monohydrate, right? Scott Forbes is one of the leading researchers on this particular product, and he is on Instagram. You can see all of his papers and summaries and those kinds of things at Scott Forbes. Dr. Forbes, I think it might actually be Dr. Forbes, but creatine monohydrate can help with strength and power, which is what most people know it as, the powerlifters, the bodybuilders, right? Looking for strength and power and improved body composition. But there's also emerging research suggesting that it may actually reduce mental fatigue in sleep-deprived people, AKA first responders, right? So this is something that you consider for brain health as well, because both the brain and the muscles use creatine for that immediate fuel source. So the thing with creatine is this is something that you would take every day, right? For forever. Regardless of if you work out, Typically, you want to take it at the time of day that it doesn't bother your stomach. Some people, it can feel a little sandy or heavy in their stomach. So do consider, it doesn't really matter what time you take it, whether it's before or after a workout. You do want to stick with creatine monohydrate. Other types of creatine have less research, or more expensive, or just less effective in general. And this is going to be pretty inexpensive to buy in either a powder or a capsule. They now have gummies, but those are a little bit expensive because, again, they're relatively a new product. Keep in mind that some of the cons of creatine is that it can lead to diarrhea and nausea if you take too much at once. The 3 to 5 gram recommended dose is usually not enough to cause that. It's when people try to do these loading phases to increase sensitivity in their muscles in a week compared to a month. So they're trying to take 25-gram doses a day, and that ends up leading to GI issues. So typically we recommend 3 to 5 grams a day, taken daily for a month, and then you might start to see some of those benefits about a month after taking creatine. It's not a quick fix product. Again, work with a dietitian with this. There's not a whole lot of contraindications or medications that creatine will interact with. It's generally considered a safe supplement, but, again, work with a professional. Now, the big question, and I'm already out of time for testosterone, right? Especially for our guys who are typically about 10 to 15 years into their career, they start to get concerned about testosterone. Now, these testosterone boosters are garbage. The stuff you get OTC, over the counter, crap, okay? We're not recommending testosterone boosters. They're primarily a marketing gimmick, right? If you are concerned with your testosterone, you need to go to a physician to get those levels checked. And it might be something to consider that if you're, around 30 right now, to go get those levels checked anyway, or in your 20s, just so you know what your baseline is. Because just because your levels are in the lower range, it's usually about 300, I think, to 900 or 1,000. Just because you're in the lower range, if you feel good, that doesn't mean that you need some sort of testosterone replacement therapy, because it's not fun. It's pellets, it's injections. It's testosterone replacement is not an easy fix, right? But if your levels are low and you have symptoms like fatigue, low libido, hair loss, those kinds of things, it might be a conversation to have with your primary care physician, keeping in mind that your OC health doctors are not probably going to be very helpful with this. The big thing, though, is that even if you do TRT, you still need to do this. You need to get more sleep. A lot of times this testosterone tanking is due to the fact that you're just accumulating a lot of sleep deprivation, right? You might need to lose a little fat, but again, if it's low, it's going to be harder to do that. And lifting heavy can actually help boost your testosterone naturally. So if you're going to do anything, first, you need to try to get the sleep and the lifting heavy in, of course, accommodating for any injuries that you have. And then also consider cutting back on alcohol. Drinking a lot of alcohol, and a lot, again, can add up really quickly. I would say if you're over 14 drinks a week, or even in that like 9 to 14 drink per week range, you probably should consider cutting back and seeing if that testosterone will reduce or will improve, excuse me. Now, if you want a more detailed article, because this is just a quick blip, right? Examine.com does have a testosterone booster article that can explain this in a little bit more detail. Again, this product that is on the screen is not recommended. It's not going to be effective for you. It's probably a waste of your money, but it's there for, picture purposes. So you know what I'm talking about. All right, greens powders. These are really popular right now. And some products that I've seen have been $120 a month, right? $120 a month could get you a meal prep service for at least 10 meals or more, right? So really the thing with the greens powders is it's a fancy multivitamin. You can get a multivitamin or a fiber supplement at your Walmart for half the price. It'll last you twice the time. And it's not a replacement for 2 to 3 cups of veggies a day, period. Again, it's condensed. It's not the worst. It's probably not going to hurt you. However, personally, veggies are going to have more water, more fiber, more phytochemicals, more antioxidants than any of these powders are going to have. Is it the worst supplement to take? Is it going to hurt you? Probably not. But again, it's probably not your best thing to take. All right. And then the last thing that we have is fat burners. So fat burners are unfortunately ineffective. There's a super high risk for side effects. And typically fat burners may not just be called a fat burner. They might be called a thermogenic or a burn or some sort of, again, you'll see on that label on that sample supplement that is not recommended, that it's a thermogenic fat burner. And unfortunately, these are ineffective, super high risk for side effects. And then part of the reason that the side effects are so high is because these products are so high in caffeine. One of these pills may have up to 200 milligrams of caffeine with that. And again, if you're washing it down with coffee or you're washing this down with an energy drink, you're at a significantly higher risk for an overdose. Actually, one of it was Tekashi something. He's a rapper. He ended up going to the hospital after taking 2 hydroxycut pills with a McDonald's coffee for that reason alone, the interaction. You really got to focus more on the diet quality and portion size. Now, this is not a dietary or a medical recommendation by any means. Something to consider though. Medication, if you're working with your doctor, may help you if you're stuck. If you've been trying to lose fat and you've been working out consistently, you've been trying to eat well, and you are not seeing that scale move for 3 months, consider talking to your doctor about potential medication. Phentermine or semaglutide, Ozempic, Mounjaro. These medications are tools. They are not going to fix, you can't just take one of these medications, pop a pill and lose weight, right? You still have to do the behaviors. Otherwise, you will gain the weight immediately back. But it's something to have a conversation about with your doctor if you're truly stuck. However, the ideal recommendation would be to work with a dietitian one-on-one while you're taking these medications to make sure that you can, sustain it long-term. Not a dietary or a medical recommendation to take these, but it's a consideration if you are truly stuck. Again, my name is Megan Lautz. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, megan@rescuerd.com, or follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook @rescue.rd. Thank you.